So I'm going to get started now. Thank you for coming to this webinar. I'm really excited to share this part of my work. Most of you already know me and know that I'm very deep into looking at the cell health using obviously labs. That's why I call myself a clinical nutritionist. And I found this questionnaire really helpful to get to some of the problems at a deeper level. We're always trying to look for the root. What is the root cause? Whether a person is overweight. Why is it? Is it just as simple as eating too much and not moving enough? Or is there something else going on? I was actually just at a webinar recently on gut health, and everybody was all health. Every problem that we have has to do with the gut. And I agree with that to a large extent, but I'm going to take you guys deeper tonight and actually try to get beyond just the gut or beyond just the brain. And we're going to talk about those aspects. And this is what the cell blueprint is really about. It's trying to get to your health at the deepest possible level we can, without, and maybe part of it looking at labs afterwards, but before looking at all the lab tests to give us ideas, because there are so many different lab tests out there. So I'm going to kick it off now, and we're going to delve into there. And as I said, at the end, there'll be time for questions. You can ask me whatever questions related to yourself or in terms of this concept, and we'll see where we end. All right. So what do you do when your body feels out of balance? And for a lot of people today, there is a lot of imbalances, whether it is some person having an energy issue, which I see a lot of people having, a weight or body composition issue, and then possibly what they might call a disease. So you're not feeling so well, you're not looking as you would like to look, and then you might have an ailment or something that is actually affecting your daily living. And for me, I always say health is a vehicle for life. Health allows us to do the things that we want to do. There's an Indian proverb about the healthy man, or let's say, I'll try it again. The sick man has only one wish, but the healthy man has 1,000. Meaning if we've got our health, we have such a great foundation for a great life. And that's why it is one of the priorities of most people. Often health, I might talk about wealth, happiness, and different values, but health is really a foundation. So what do we do when things go out of balance? Well, as I said, I was on a webinar just recently and we talked about just the gut. And I was on with 5 other doctors, and it was very much, if there's a problem with your health, it's in the gut. And as I said, I agree with that. There's a saying from the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, all disease begins in the gut. But what goes before that? And what about things like, I see a lot of people with infections. So if you look in terms of the middle part, these are infections. And especially with this crisis at the moment, with this virus, why are some people really suffering and hospitalized while there are so many other people who have this virus and are just carriers? There must be more than just the bug. There must be other aspects involved. And then a lot of people, they think about, okay, my weights are down here in the right-hand corner, the thyroid. Is there a problem there? So if I've got an issue with my weight, should I always go to the thyroid? And the brain sending all these signals. If I have a problem, even with the gut the problem might lie in the brain. That's what a lot of people say. You've got a problem with your gut. Well, maybe because we've got this term called leaky gut, where there are gaps between the gut that food falls through. We call it intestinal permeability. Well, we actually now have a term called leaky brain, because the gut and the brain are connected. And when, in terms of neurotransmitters or things don't work, these signalers of the brain, like serotonin, most of you have heard of, the happy hormone, or GABA, the relaxing, where's it coming from? So there's all these links. So a problem with the gut, we actually find there are studies, because there's a greater incidence of gut issues for people who played soccer and did, in terms of headers in soccer, or boxers. Why are so many boxers having issues with their gut? Because the head damaging here can affect the gut area. And what about the liver? How the liver is affected. The liver and the gut are talking to each other, and the liver's doing all these amazing processes. So do we start with an organ? Maybe we do. But maybe we actually go even deeper. And this is about really, I want to introduce you guys to understanding the science of this at a deeper level. And part of this is understanding what we call the levels of organization. And what the levels of organization basically state, now they're classic textbooks, but health practitioners often forget about them. They think about, for instance, I have a problem with my gut. I have a problem. Let's say I don't feel so well. I'm having all these issues as an organism. And we look and we go, hey, we've got an issue with the digestive system. What if we broke it down and then said, okay, whereabouts? Or what if we went the other way? And we actually looked that your health starts with connections, atoms that form molecules. And these molecules make macromolecules or proteins, and these proteins make organelles like mitochondria. Now, I'm not going to go too sciencey, but these mitochondria produce the energy. And when you put all these things together, you get this amazing unit called a cell. Is the first living, breathing, mitochondria has parts, but this living, breathing entity. And then when the cells come together, they form tissue. So a person who has a skin issue, oftentimes I'm asking, okay, what's going on with the cells? And that's what we're going to be looking at. Person has an issue with an organ, a heart or a lung or some part of the digestive system, the colon, there's an irritated colon or a liver. It's tracking back and actually looking in and saying, okay, what happened at the tissue? Not just what happened at the tissue level, what happened at the cellular level? We put it together and we get obviously all the organs together. That makes us who we are. So the cell and the organism, these two here are definitely, this is what we call the macro and the micro. All we are is a collection of trillions of cells. And what we actually realize too is half those cells are actually not belonging to us. They actually belong to microbes. So we're half alien in that sense. But especially our cells, going deeper and having a look can make a big difference. And there's actually been an addition. This hasn't always been the case, but there is a population component to health, community. And we see it around us where most of us are affected by other people at the moment, whether it's people who are struggling. We've got obviously our partners and our relationships. All those make up in terms of that organization of our health. And we need to pay attention. And what this model does is looks at a deepest level that especially we can get this cellular level to try to figure out, okay, what's going on with the person? So what does the cell need? So if we know that we want to focus on the cell, we want to help a person, or you want to help yourself and say, do you know what? I've got this problem. I'm not at my ideal weight. My energy doesn't feel good. I'm not sleeping well. My skin, there's a problem there. Let's go to the cell. Now, the cell has three basic needs. And if you look at this, don't worry too much. Don't let this diagram overwhelm you. It's basically talking about your genetics, about the exposures, and microbiome. So those three parts there. But within that, there are all these needs. The number one need we call provide. So some of you, when you are filling out your questionnaire, you might have come back and it said your provide. And what that means is there might have been an issue with fuel and nutrients. Now, I'm going to go deeper into this, but there might have been an issue with the fuel that you're getting and the amount of nutrients. So we're going to talk about that in more detail. Then, some other people who are here tonight may have had an issue with protect. And what protect, the cell not only needs to take in the fuel and nutrients to function, but it needs to, because it's a living entity, it's making these byproducts of metabolism, it's making waste products, and it's exposed to all these toxins in the environment. That's just part of our life nowadays. But we're not made of glass. We have the ability to protect ourselves if we've got the right circumstance. If the cell is functioning well, we can protect ourselves against so many invaders or toxins, or even going down the wrong path with the diet, having too many waste products and things like that. So that's the second. And the third is promote. Like I said, the cell is the micro for the organism, the macro. The cell needs the right environment. It needs certain aspects. And I'm going to go into the details in terms of here, which of these four in a moment. But like us, we can't function if we're not in the right environment. And that's a critical part. So to get a sense of, we need our cells, need fuel and nutrients. We need to be able to take in these nutrients and use them. We need to be able to protect ourselves from outside either problems or in terms of what our internally is producing, because we are producing these waste products. And we need to see that the right environment is there.